Yeah, yeah, we're streaming now.
Charles, you're muted.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. So hello, everyone, and welcome. In this live class today, we'll be going over, or we'll be practicing how to design a simple profile card. In our previous classes, we've gone through what UX design is, what UI design is. So today I'll be showing you a bit of the basics of principles and elements that go into creating a good user interface. And afterwards, you have the chance to practice and submit as a task. So what you're seeing right now on my screen is a design board. I haven't touched it. I haven't done anything on it. Okay, if I just go back to Figma and click this button here. So I created a blank canvas. Okay, so we're going to create a simple photo card, and this card should contain your name. Give me a minute, let me increase the font size on this. So it's going to contain your name. It also needs to have your picture. It also needs to, sorry. It also needs to show what track you're on. So if you're in design, of course, I think everyone here is on design. And you also need to tell us a bit about why so basically, that'll be what I'll be covering today, and then afterwards you'll be able to take your task home and submit after you're done with it. So let me just create another page here. Okay, and we'll call this design practical. I hope everyone can still see my screen. Okay, so when you're on your board, first things first, title your canvas or your board or whatever, or your file or whatever you choose to call it. So I'll name this one simple profile card. Okay, so once that is done, what I personally usually do is go search for inspiration. I have a Chrome tab open here. And what you're basically looking at are examples of simple profile cards that you can choose from. So this has some really nice dark colors. This has a gradient going on and some shadows as well. So we just look for one and pick. Okay, I think this one works. So a good way to move pictures onto your Figma board is to copy. Some would prefer to save the image first, but I choose to copy the image. And once that is copied, I can come in here and do a Control V, and it pastes on my board. Okay. So we're just going to replicate this design. When you'll be going through your task, when you'll be submitting or designing on your Figma board, you can choose to use whatever design you find online. But I'm just going to work with this one to go through a bit of the basics. So looking at this design, you have a rectangle, you have a circle, and then you have text and social media links. So first of all, I'm going to create a frame. If you look on the menu bar right at the top, you're going to see buttons. These are elements that you can use on the board. So I'm going to click on frame here. And if you look over to the right panel, you see lots of frames on the drop showing by the right panel. So these are frames for phones, different phone sizes. Oh, I clicked one. Let's do that again. So these are frames for phones, different phone sizes. This is for tablets. You have the iPad and then you have the Surface. This is for desktop and MacBook. If you went through the Figma video that we shared earlier, some of these things will not be new to you. I'm just going over them for those that might be new to Figma. And I'm going to go right to social media and click on Instagram post, and an Instagram post frame should be created, yes. So I'm going to use this as base for my design. Okay, so looking at this picture, first of all, there's a color. I'm going to change the color, sorry. I'm going to change the color of my frame. I can choose to add a rectangle in here, just as a base to fill up the Instagram frame. Okay, then I pick the color of the picture. So this is the eye dropper tool. And yeah, the color is replicated. Okay, moving on. Right on top of the color background, there's a rectangle, a white rectangle with some form of shadow. So this is the rectangle tool. I used it earlier to create a rectangle and fill it with the same color. So I go over there again and pick it or select it. And we're just going to draw a simple rectangle here. When going through your task, don't worry about alignment or what color you're using, just practice. Later on during the course, we'll go through all that. So I'm just going to center that and increase the width a bit and change it to white. So this is what you have on the right panel here are settings. What you have on the right panel here are settings that you can apply to whatever element you have on the design board. So I'm just going to change that quickly to white. Yeah. Okay. So once that is done, I'm going to add a bit of shadow to create some form of, to add some form of depth to the design, to the rectangle. So if you look down here, you see effects, you click on that, and I'm just going to increase my blur to say 8. Okay, that's still too sharp. Okay. All right, I think that works. We'll go over these things later on during other classes when we're talking of UI design elements, when we go deep into UI design elements. So next we have this little circle here that would house your picture. So if you look up at the menu tab, you see rectangle and there is this little drop down arrow. You click on that and you see the ellipse tool. You select that and you come to your Instagram post frame and you can just tap. You can either tap like I did and it dropped, or you can select the rectangle tool, click and hold. Okay, that didn't work. Sorry guys. You can click and hold Why is this not working? You can click and hold, and then you can drag out to whatever size you'd like it to be. You can also change the size from the right panel as well. So I'm going to make this equal in height and width. So there's 2 to 7 height over here. So I'm just going to make the width 2 to 7 as well, just so we have equal dimensions. Okay, so moving on, we have the text that has the name of this person. It says John Doe here. So we're going to select the text tool. This is the text tool right beside the palm, the hand tool. We're not going to go into the hand tool and the comment tool for this live class session. So we select the text tool and we come right into the Instagram post as well, and we click. And then once we click, we'll be able to type in whatever we want to type in. So I'm just going to type in my name now. Charles Dean. Okay, I think that text is too big, so the font size is quite large, so I'm going to reduce it a bit. Okay, I think that works. All right, I have my name down there. Under the name text on the design, you have better visuals. So when creating your design, you could replace this with what track you are on. So I can just duplicate my name. Sorry, I can just duplicate my name here. Control D. So Control D is for duplicating on other laptops that are on MacBook. I think on the MacBook it's Command D or something. I'll get back to you guys on that one. So once that is duplicated, I can change this. Let's say I'm on design track, for example. I can just put in design track. Okay. The text here is quite smaller than the one above, so we'll reduce the text size from here, just so everything looks similar. Okay, that's too small. Okay. Okay, I think that works. So next up, we have another text right below all that. And this is basically where you can choose to write about why you chose the track and what you hope to learn from the track. So it's a text element again. And once again, we can duplicate the previous text elements that we have. So Control D. And I just move that down a bit. And I can go ahead to edit this. So I could write something like, I chose the design track because I enjoy solving. Like I said, don't worry about alignment and all that just yet, but I'm going to align mine because I enjoy solving users' problems. Okay, so notice what's happening with the text. Notice the Instagram post. The Instagram post frame ends here. So because the text has passed the frame, you can no longer see what's inside the frame. And that's because of this setting right here, the clip content. So whatever is outside the frame, once clip content is selected, it won't be visible. It's just going to cut it right off. So in order to see the text that has gone out of the frame, I'm going to unselect the clip content checkbox and it shows up. So you select your text and you can either choose to change the width from here or simply click and drag your text like this. Yeah. So I'm going to center align mine. This is where you can center align. This is to left align your text. This is to right align your text. And this is to center align. So I'm just going to center align that. Um, and reduce the text size a bit, because from our copy, the text size is quite small here, the font size rather. Sorry. Okay. You can choose to add in more text when you're writing about why you chose the track. Okay, so once that is done, we move over to adding our picture. So to add the picture, once you select whatever element you want to add your picture into, for this live class, we're adding the picture into the circular shape, the circular element. You can choose to add a picture into the rectangle or even into the frame. But to add a picture, you select the element that you want the picture to be in. And if you look over by the right, you see where you have the fill setting. Click on the color, and right on the top of that modal, you see a drop down. You click on that, and the very last option here is image. You click on image, and from here you can choose whatever image you want to add into the elements that you've selected. I'm going to go over some other examples so you get a good idea of how to add an image. So I'm just going to choose an image from here. Okay. Yeah. So once you select your image, it's just going to fill up whatever shape you have with that image. Also, if you do not want to add an image from your local files, take for example how we copied and pasted this image into the design canvas, you can select whatever image that you want to fill and click copy. Okay, so once that image is copied, in order to fill your image correctly, you have to select the element you want to fill with that image. In this case, circular shape, and just do a Control V, and it fills the shape up with the image. So basically, your basic controls, your Control C, your Control V, your Control D also helps during your design process. Just going to change that again. So I go to image, I choose image, and I select this one and it fills it up. So that's basically, we're not going to go into getting icons for your social media handles and all that in this live class. We'll do that in subsequent classes. So that's basically it. If you want to add some color, you can go on and select you can change the background color to whatever color you would prefer. So let me change this one to say something here. So UI design basically is about practice. You need to practice to get better. You need to apply the right design elements and principles. You need to apply spacing, things like spacing, alignment, and hierarchy. So let's say I build this. Okay, so basically looking at this design, you can see that my name carries the highest weight. It's the boldest, and it's also the one with the largest font size. And right below that is the design track. And then you have the reason for my joining the design track. So you get to do this yourselves. Like I said before, you can choose whatever design you want to use. If you feel comfortable doing something with this design, that's fine. But just make sure you choose something that you'd love. And don't worry about the design principles. Just just do it, and we'll go over corrections in subsequent classes, and you will get better with time. So let me see, do we have, if you have any questions, you can ask at this point. I've taken some questions. Okay. So let's take some questions.
Hi Charles, there's some questions in the Zoom chats.
Okay, let me get to it. How do you, okay, okay. Okay, let me go over duplicating text again, just so everyone can get it. I'm going to delete this once, and I'll go over that again. So first of all, what you do, you go to your menu bar and select the text tool. Once it's selected, it will be highlighted with a blue background. You go onto your frame or whatever element you want to place the text on, and just to click, and your text cursor will show up. And once that is done, you can type in whatever text you would like to type in. Okay. Now, to duplicate this, you use the Control D command on your keyboard. So I'm just going to do a Control D. And once that is done, you can see that it notifies you that you've duplicated that particular element or text. Um, so once it's duplicated, you can simply move the text away. Usually when duplicating for the first time, when duplicating an element for the first time, you're only going to know, okay, let me do that so I'll show you. So I've duplicated this. You're only going to know from the layers tab that it has been duplicated. So Charles Dim, so the text element has been duplicated here because it's now double. If I delete one of them, it goes off from the layers panel as well. So once I duplicate that, I can then go on to drag. Subsequent duplication of an element will simply move it into place. So if I go on duplicating, this is what will be happening. If I move this away and I duplicate that, it keeps on following that pattern. So once I duplicate that, I put in the track I'm on. I'll just change the font size. I think I used 28 the last time. Okay, I duplicate that again. I move, and I type in why I joined the design track. All right. Okay, then I center align. So once those are done, I can then start adding some hierarchy to my text. But for this class, do not worry about hierarchy. I only just want to see your picture. I want to make sure that you put your picture on the design, your name, your track, and why you joined the track. So just okay, I hope that's clear. I'm going to go back into the questions now. Okay. How can you create spacing in the paragraph there? Okay, I think what you might mean by spacing, give me a minute. Okay. So spacing, that comes in later classes, but if you want to add some space between various lines in your text, you go to the line height setting here, but that's a little bit too advanced. So don't worry about that. We'll still touch on it later on. So does our work automatically save on an account? Yes, it does if you have uh, internet connection. So one thing designers love to do is once they start working on their board, they turn off the internet connection, and once they're done working, they turn it on and everything will automatically save. So when you come back on your design board or the design file, you can always have it there. Where we will post these designs, I'll communicate that in the design channel. You're going to send a link to your design or to your Figma file on the LMS. So don't worry about that. Okay. Does it have to be just like this, or we just make sure you have different contrasts for each section? If I get your, sorry, if I get your question correctly, like I said before, you can play around. Basically, I chose to replicate this design in its simplest form, but you can always go to Google and look up simple profile cards that you can choose from um, and work with that. Some are a bit too complex, some are a little bit too complex for beginner level. So I'd advise you go for simple ones. Um, Let me see, is there another simple one? Okay. All right, I think this one is pretty, very much simple. So you can work with this one. Okay. Oh, that image is too small. Okay, this one looks good as well. So yeah, just choose one that you're comfortable working with. How do we save our design as a PNG image? Like I said before, you won't be going through all that for this course, but if you would like to save an image as a design as PNG, once you select your frame or whatever element, you scroll down to your settings panel, and right at the very bottom, you're going to see an export button. So click the plus sign right beside that, and you're going to see PNG here. You can also export as JPG, SVG, or PDF as the case may be. Okay, let's see. How do I delete if I make a mistake? Okay, so basically Figma is quite easy to use. If you want to undo something that you've done, like say I delete this, I mistakenly deleted this, I just do a Control Z and it comes back. So if you want to delete, you can just press the delete button and whatever it is you selected will be deleted. So I just press the delete button. I just deleted that. So I'm going to Control Z them all back in. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Okay, I hope that answers that question. Okay, so let me look at other questions. I observed that you're using Figma on the web. Is it better to use it that way, or is it better to download and use the desktop app? There really isn't anything to worry about whether you're using it on the web or you're using the desktop app. So you can use anyone that you feel comfortable with. Okay, so I personally prefer working on the web. So basically to save space on my laptop, I don't want extra applications that I can use on the web. Okay, can I do my design on Corel Draw and take it to Figma? I haven't tried that before, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that, but I'll find out and get back to you. That's I don't understand the function of the clip content. Please, can you shine a light on that? I don't understand what you mean by the clip content, please. So could you probably tell me what I did or what you're referring to as the clip content so that I can answer you? Okay, how did you make the name bigger and bolder than other texts? Okay, once you select your um, element or your text element, over on the settings panel by the right, you're going to go into the text settings. So there are various settings. This is the constraint, the layer, and then the text, and then the fill. So you go into your text. Okay, this text field here shows what font you're currently working on. So I can change the font from Roboto to say rock salt. I don't know what that looks like. Oh, okay. To rock salt. Okay, rock salt doesn't have, so take note, some fonts do not let you change the font weight. They would only let you change the font size. I think that's universal for every font, for every typeface rather. So okay, let's change that. Let's do righteous. Righteous doesn't let you change font weight too. Let's pick one that actually works. Okay, let's do Railway. Okay, so Railway lets you change the font weight. So once you click on the drop down here, you're going to see various font weights that you can pick from. So if I choose, let's say bold, the text automatically changes to bold. Sorry. If I choose, say extra bold, the font weight automatically changes. Okay, so moving on to other questions. Does our work automatically save? Yes, it automatically saves. It automatically saves. Apart from taking pics from your file or copying online, is there another way one can take to apply pics again? Yes, there is another way that I did show you, but that can come in when you're getting better at your designs. But I'll just quickly run through it. So when you select whatever element you want to fill and you want to fill up with an image, you can choose to open up your files here. Okay, give me a minute. Let me move this well. Okay. So you can choose to open up your file. After selecting the element, you go into the fill settings. So first step, you select whatever element you want to fill up with an image. You go to your fill settings, you click on the image, and once that is open, you open your folder or file explorer or wherever your image is coming from, and you click and drag. You can drag and drop, you can drag and drop whatever image you want to fill up. And there you have it. It will automatically be filled up with whatever image you've dropped onto the image container. But I don't know if that's a bit complicated, but okay. Please, how did you get the green background? Okay, no, let me take we're getting inspiration, duplicating the design you get off the net. Isn't that plagiarism? We'll talk about how to copy as a designer much later. So um, don't worry about plagiarism. Design something usable. You can tweak the colors, you can tweak the text, and of course that will make your own design very much different from whatever design that you copied from. But we'll go into copying well as a designer much later. Is the outside mark, I mean the um okay, okay. You probably mean the color of the frame. It's not really so important, but it's good for contrast. We'll touch on contrast later on, but it's good for contrast to show the difference between that background and the white rectangle. Okay, moving on. How do I resize the profile image? Once you click on the profile image, as I've done, you can either hold Shift and drag. So I'm holding down Shift and dragging, and notice that it's maintaining the dimensions on all sides. Or you can go into the settings panel up here. You'd see W for width and H for height. So you can quickly change those. Let's do 150 and change the height to 150 as well. The little icon you have here is to lock both the width and height. So once you lock it, as I've done, you can change both the width and height at the same time by just changing one side of its dimension. So let's say I make this 200. The width will automatically take 200 as well. So these are some of the design shortcuts and tips and tricks as well that you can use while designing. Okay, how did I get the green background? Like I said before, once you select your rectangle or whatever element you want to color, you go to the settings panel, you go to fill, and you can change the color from here. So let's make that. So I'm changing the color from the fill settings right here. Okay. Is there no area text? Is there no area text on Figma? Can you show us how to send the link? I'll send that in the various design channels, so don't worry about that. Do all the fonts have to be the same, or you can choose a different font like I've said before. I want to ask how I can fit a square picture into a sphere shape. Thanks. Okay, so if you noticed, my pictures have all been square. So when filling with a picture, whatever shape you've created, let me create a triangle, for example. Okay. So when filling up with a picture, the picture takes whatever shape you're filling it up with. So I select image. I go to choose an image. And once I click on this, so yeah. So it doesn't matter what shape your picture is, Once you select an image to fill up that picture, it will automatically cover everything up. Okay. Okay, let me take more questions. I hope I do still have some time. Does the image automatically power clip inside, or do you need to hold any button to allow that possible? It automatically clips into the shape, like I've said before. You're not holding any button to make that happen, okay? Okay, once we're done with the design and click export, will it automatically provide a link to turn in our assignment? No, once you're exporting, it's saving on your laptop or whatever device that you're working on. I'm still going to guide you on how to go about submitting your design link, okay? So don't worry about that. I'll paste the steps in the design channels. Does the order of the action make a difference? Mine is organized a little differently to yours. It doesn't matter what order you've taken to design. Maybe you put your text first, or you put your rectangle first, or you put your image first. So what matters at the end of the day is that you produce a simple profile card with your image, name, track, and reason why you joined the track. As we proceed, you will periodically review our progress and provide individual feedback. Yes, definitely. Okay, I think I've taken all the questions that I have. I'm still trying to understand the clip content, but you can always DM me on Slack to go over that better. Okay. So if that's all, I think we can end the class now, and I'll see you during the next class. So look out for the design task. This design task, you'll be creating yours and submitting. So thank you, guys.